And welcome everyone to the Ginette Biro Podcast. I'm Ginette Biro, and thank you so much for joining me today on another update. But this one comes slightly differently, and I'm really excited to share with you guys because I don't always share concepts from dream state. So if you are joining for the first time, thank you for listening in to some of the messages. I channel messages usually from the 3 guides of the light, which are these beautiful high ninth dimensional beings of light, but I also channel messages from all kinds of different light beings and archangels and guides and ascended masters. And if this is the first time joining, please do hit subscribe on YouTube because I will be giving away 2 free readings. So please do that as well. And for those of you listening on the podcast, thank you so much, you guys. I just am deeply appreciative of the time you take to hear the messages. So the title for today is Vivid Dreams of the Changes to Come. And so like I said, I channel spirits of all kinds, and I astral travel to lots of different dimensions, and we'll just call it dimensions, time and place. And a lot has been happening in my dream state, a lot, especially since the Lionsgate portal. There has been so much happening in my dream state. It's just a busy, busy place. So rest, like solid rest where you wake up and you're like, oh my gosh, it's morning already, hasn't happened for me in a while. But the vividness of my dreams, although exhausting, has been really phenomenal. And like, if I don't get up and write them down right away, Spirit will often nudge me awake to write them down, whether that's 2 a.m, 3 a.m, 6 a.m, and just so that I don't forget the details of it. And there's so often where I'm like, okay, yeah, don't worry, I'll remember. And they're like, no, wake up now. And they will literally jolt me awake. It's actually quite funny. And as I said, I don't often share my vivid dream state because often it seems to be images of what is to come, and I don't always have all the pieces. And so again, if I'm going to share a message, I want to share a message with a clear understanding, or as clear of an understanding as I can, so that not everybody is left kind of hanging, because that's a challenging place to be, especially for the human mind, right? We want to know and understand. But this one was particularly interesting, and so I have it all written down here so I don't forget any pieces, right? But I've agreed to take these dreams and capture them as long as Spirit shows me over time what the meaning is and what they're there for. And so for me, like I said, it's like a piecing together of puzzles. And so when I approach my dream state, I do so with like a deep consciousness and a real willingness. I'm able in that dream state to interact really consciously. So in my dream, for example, I can be doing whatever I'm doing. Say I'm going down a water slide in the dream, I can actually step back from the vivid experience in the dream and almost like hit pause or have a communication with Spirit, kind of like I do, I guess, in waking life, where I can be doing something but talking to them at the same time. And so I'll do that in my dream. I'll say, what is this for? Or I don't like the way this dream is going. It's not supporting me, or it's inducing fear. Can we shift it? Can you better explain? Right? And so I have this real interaction in my dream state. So I know now that it's become this beautiful place for communication as well. And it's kind of interesting because I don't so much get in the way. Whereas sometimes in human waking state, I can get in the way of the flow of communication if I'm busy, if I've got kids running around, or what have you. It's another way in which they can communicate stuff. And so yeah, being able to interact with them is really cool. And I got to tell you that the dreams are very real. All of the dreams, again, especially since the Lionsgate portal for me, are very real, and they carry messages. I've got this big journal full of it. And they're usually very symbolic, more deeply symbolic than literal. So it's not the literal experience, but the idea behind it. So again, like I've been talking about, you have to really feel into the meaning and the emotion behind the dream versus always the literal expression of it. So like I said, there's many things that I get insights on that I don't always share. Sometimes, frankly speaking, it's so far out there that I think some of you would be like, what is that? Or how does that make sense? And I have to say, some of them challenge me too. And sometimes it's like something is so far out of our realm of consciousness that it's really hard to bring in a new concept or an understanding of how something works. So it's almost more confusing to share it. And I can give you an example of that. It's kind of like if you picture linear time, right? So in 3D world, we have linear time. Time moves in a line, right? From 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock. It moves linearly. So that's third dimensional time. But if you go to time, or the concept of time, which they say there is no time in the higher realms, but when they tried to explain time to me, say fifth dimensional idea of time is not linear. It's like this. It's moving. It's like a Vogue video, right? It's moving. It's not linear. It can be boxy, but at the same time, it's going this way and this way and this way and this way and this way, right? And so when we take our understanding of linear time, which is how we base our day and our awareness and our movement on, this boxed, diagonal, moving idea of time just doesn't make sense, right? Like you're like, okay, I see what she's saying, but my brain doesn't get it. And so that's why, again, some of the things that I get and I understand and I see, I can't quite share because sometimes I can't even put it into words. Like English language often doesn't have the right words to fully express or explain and experience. So I say that because the value of this dream was so much that I really wanted to share it. I wanted to share the understandings of it. And because there was such an emphasis in the dream of now. The idea was now. It's happening now. It's here now. And I also wanted to say that with that being a good time to share that was also the understanding of the excitement underneath the message of now. There's a huge excitement under this idea of now. And so I really want to preface this whole message that I'm going to share with you guys with the understanding of excitement under it, right? This idea of excitement. So that being said, in the last podcast, I talked to you guys about the magic of words and omens in October, right? And I share these vivid dreams in the same light. So to have that insight into what may come gives us a sense of reassuredness and confidence and peace, right? And that all is happening as it should be to support the planetary and human ascension. That's really what we have happening right now. And so we can't create a new earth from where we were at, right? We've been doing a lot of work and changing, but we can't do it from where we were at and where we kind of are at in this very, very moment, this like physical pinnacle moment right now. Things need to shift. And so it's like spring or fall cleaning. We have to clear out the things and create a mess to begin putting things back together in a new, fresh way, right? And so if you think about it, with all these planets that were retrograde for like 4 or 5 months at a time that are now moving direct, meaning they're back in motion again, we've spent all that time in those different planetary retrogrades going inside and cleaning out, going over the waterfall, right? That we've been talking about and the guides have been talking about. Cleaning out, cleaning up, purging, coming back to a sense of self, finding what our truth is, all of those things that are very, very important. So that now as we watch the things unfold in our outer reality, we have a clear space of peace, truth, understanding, sanctuary, a safe space to go within. So we don't have to lose it kind of thing, okay? So I invite you guys to see this message and this dream as encouraging and exciting, okay? What is to come may be chaotic and crazy, but it's to make way for exactly what we are destined for and for evolving spiritually as humans. So this is a good change. So this dream was kind of like revelations in this dream. So the way it goes is if you can kind of like follow the imagery here. So it started where I was in my childhood home. And I was doing these renovations in the home. And again, like I said, how I can like pop out in my dream state and understand what's happening and ask questions. They were showing me that this this renovation in which walls were ripped down and new framework was going up, and there was music playing and it was bright. We had a plan and it was already underway and it was beautiful. It was really symbolic of like the inner child work, the renovating the consciousness, the undoing of old programs, and implementing of new higher consciousness programs that I've been working on personally, right? So it was very symbolic of the internal changes, and it was good, it was moving, it was bright. And in this dream, I was suddenly called outside by my dad and the neighbors, and they're like, Ginette, come outside. And so I went outside and I looked up into the night sky, and there was about 20 crescent moons in the form of a circle in the night sky, like 20 crescent moons. And I knew looking at these crescent moons that they were symbolic of different light beings or different dimensional beings that were all here and present to help us in this next step. They were here, they had gathered. And I couldn't believe that they were all here. I was like, oh my gosh, they're all here. So we're talking like angels, light beings, guides, all of the things we had gathered in a circle. And circle is always a symbolism of like wholeness, right? And so I saw this and I was just like, wow, they're here. It's now. And at the same time, I was seeing people running around. There was sirens, there was ambulances. One neighbor was helping to push an ambulance up the road because it was stuck. There was smoke. Everything around me was chaos. And I looked up the road and there was this huge raging forest fire. And the forest fire was real and here. And I had this sense of earthquakes. And again, this is very symbolic here, okay? So I don't want people to panic. We have seen forest fires and there have been some smaller earthquakes, but this is symbolism. And so all of that chaos going on, there was such a like peaceful and excited energy within, because I was like, oh my gosh, it's here, it's now. Everything had arrived and was in place. And then when I looked to the left, I saw this enormous red, blood red full moon. This moon was closer than I've ever seen a moon. It was as if like the moon was like just a hop away from our planet. Like it was massive right against the earth, and it was deep, deep, deep red. And it was like almost like a hologram, but it looked so real. Like I could see the divots in it. I could see the bends and the folds, but it was just vibrant red. And when I looked closer at it, it became kind of transparent. And I could see this clear piping, these tubes coming out that encircled all around the earth. And the tubes were kind of like the size of water slides, but they weren't water slides, but about that size. And they were fully enclosed, like you might see kind of like a mail chute. And others couldn't see them, but I could see through the moon. And they were different junction points. And so what Spirit said that they really symbolized was portals, and that they were all in place. So again, this idea that the time was now. And they were these energetic tubes filled with this vibrating red electricity and red electric junction points. And I knew that these portals were a really good thing. They were in place, everything was ready to go, and they were here to help planetary ascension. And in essence, they were here to help people move to different third dimensional worlds or other planets, other places, the other side. Because with so much planetary ascension happening and so much change to come, people have their choice if they want to continue in third dimension. And if so, they can continue in another place where third dimension will happen in another place. And again, I know for some of you, this is kind of far out and you're like, what? But honestly, like if we think of all the galaxies that there are in the world, or I mean, not in the world, in the universe, right? All the galaxies have many, 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 many planets. And on these planets, we can't possibly be the only one that can inhabit a 3D dimensional space. So it doesn't mean that people are going to necessarily take off in a spaceship, but I mean those that on a soul level had decided to leave the planet and either cross over to higher realms or continue their 3D experience in another place where they can continue in 3D consciousness. Whatever that is, These portals are here to help facilitate that, okay? And so I stood there again, knowing that this is happening. It's finally here. The time is now. And I was so excited, not for the carnage that I was seeing, but because the change point was here. And there had been so much preparation up to this point of, waiting for these changes to happen. And so I couldn't believe that it was happening. So I ran inside the house to kind of get like my combat gear, so to speak, but it wasn't like guns and things. It was crystals and stones and things that kept my vibrations high. It was my own personal strength. It was my confidence. It was my sense of peace and trust. I was ready. And then I also really felt this need to get my mom and to call my friends. And again, not in a sense of, oh my gosh, you guys, doom and gloom is here. But this is where Spirit was like, share this message. And so again, I ran outside, I got into this truck with the neighbors. I could see the 20 crescent moons gathered in a circle for the planet, that the beings were here. I could see the blood red moon, huge and poised, ready to support the transition off this planet for those that are leaving. I could see all the elements here, the portal set up. And I said to those in the truck, I said, this is Revelations. It's here. And a lot of people compare Revelations to doom and gloom. And for those of you that aren't aware, Revelations is in the Bible, and it's the story of end of times. But I knew this was a change in times, an end of one way, but a change. I knew the time was now. And so at that point I woke up, and Spirit prompted me at 6 a.m. to write it down. They said, write it down. And I was like, no, I'll remember. And of course they kind of jolted me, and they're like, write it down. And so this dream had so much energy and specificity. And I knew that I was supposed to be seeing it. I knew that without a doubt. And again, I want to emphasize that the outer chaos was only a representation of change energy, not of doom and gloom. And I felt no fear in the energy. So I can kind of compare it to labor, right? To those of you that have been in labor, been around labor, you know that there's an anticipation of a change coming, labor, right? Which is going to bring a new baby into the world. And you prep for it and you prep for it. And even the weeks leading up to it and the days leading up to it. And then when it's finally here, when it finally starts and you feel those contractions or, the different things in your body start to happen, there's a moment where you're like, oh my God, it's here. The change point time is here. And so again, the intent is not to worry you, but to reassure you, honestly, that if things start to get chaotic in our world, or perhaps I should say continue to be chaotic, that, we've had so many strange things happen this year, but continue to dig down deep into that undercurrent to find your comfort and almost maybe an excitement, because these changes are happening for a reason, and it's a good thing, and it's coming together. And we really are shifting into this higher frequency of consciousness, which is great. And we have so much support by all the different dimensional levels, by the planet herself, by, the universal collective is here to help make this all happen. And so there has to be outer changes that occur to allow this to take place. And we have seen a lot of that, and we will continue to see more, especially in October, November. And so there's so much cleanup in terms of dark energy and old patterns. And the process may be messy for a time, but Spirit is known to be vague on timelines, again, because they don't experience linear time. But the signs in my dreams were to indicate the time is now. So, what now is, I don't know. Is now today? Is now this week? I know sometimes when they say soon can mean up to 3 months, right? So now we are in the now. And anytime I ask them, what does now mean? And they said, well, it is happening. So the next few months may be bizarre and worrying, chaotic, but truly I urge you guys to be calm in knowing that things are progressing as they should. Stuff is surfacing that needs to surface so that it can be changed for the better. And truly, don't get caught up in the world of media and speculation and worry and paranoia. We can read and learn and grow and explore all options, all theories, even conspiracies. If you want to go down those roads, go for it. But come back to center. Come back to what is truth and what resonates as a truth for you. The truth will be the peace point. No matter what's happening outside, the truth will be peaceful and steady. Worry and fear is what creates that kind of chaotic feeling within. So know that we are divinely and supremely supported. Again, these 20 crescent moons in a circle was this massive universal support on all levels as we move through this transition time. So again, keep going inside. Trust your deep inner self, your higher self. Feel the truth. Be calm. Listen to your heart. Feel and radiate love to yourself and to others. You're like, we've got this. You've got this. I've got this. We truly are ready as human beings to be in this position. So much has brought us here. And so we're in this point of change, and it is beautiful. Just like the change of labor is crazy, can be chaotic, but is so beautiful because it represents new life. So that's where we are. So I share that with you guys. I hope you can truly feel the energy behind why I'm sharing it, and that it helps you feel kind of calm moving forward and with whatever comes up. So I'll leave that with you guys. I wish you lots of love and goodness. For those of you that haven't already, please do join us on the Avalon Spirit group page on Facebook. It's a great interactive space where I interact with you guys. You guys can ask questions about consciousness, mediumship, spirits, you name it. And I mean, we're going through so much right now on the planet. It's a great time to have a safe space to go to share and ask questions. So if you haven't already, please do join Avalon Spirit. There's an Avalon Spirit Inc. page, but if you join the Avalon Spirit group, that one is the more interactive one. So thank you again, you guys, for listening. I sure love and appreciate you all. I wish you guys a really wonderful week, and we'll see what comes by next week. Have a good day.